Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for joining us today. This is vlog 100. This all started about a year and a half ago, this adventure into vlogging, and I wasn't quite sure how it would go. And I have to say, it's been a wonderful experience. Not only have I learned more about myself and my poker game and how to edit videos, but I also learned about how to make a dog talk, and I got to meet a lot of great people. And I just really enjoyed this last year and a half, and I think I'm going to continue doing this for as long as I can.
You get all the fun and glory, and I have to put in all the work. You know how hard it is to get you to play good poker?
You know, I'd just like to say that meeting fellow vloggers out there and fans and supporters of the vlog at the casino has been a wonderful experience. I've created many new friendships and relationships, and all that goes beyond and above like playing poker. It's more meaningful. So I would just like to say thank you to all those who have been following me. And for those of you who are just seeing me for the first time, hey, hit that like and subscribe button. Come along for the journey. Anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. We're back at Capital Casino, buying for the 1-3 game for $500. Sit around for the first 15-20 minutes, not getting a playable hand until we see Queen 10 of clubs from the cutoff. It's folded to me, so I open for 15, get a quick call from the player on the button, and one from the big blind. So 3 ways to this flop that comes 8, 8, 9. Not a bad flop for our particular hand, but it doesn't look good for our range. I decide to check it, and it ends up getting checked around. So thinking of a beautiful card on the turn would be a jack of clubs, and that's exactly what we get. So we made the straight. We got a straight flush redraw. It's time to get a little value. I don't want to bet too big because I don't think anyone has too much at this point, so I'm lead for $15. The button puts in the quick call. I'm putting him on a hand like a jack at this point. This particular player is fairly sticky when he makes a big pair, so I'm thinking of sizing up quite a bit on any kind of blank, but instead of a blank, we got the 8 of spades, worst card in the deck. I check with the intention of folding. He rolls over ace jack. I'm a little surprised he didn't put a bet in, but I was going to fold anyway. I look down at ace king from under the gun, open for a raise to 15, only get called from the player on my left. Headed to a flop, heads up. Flop comes out 10 high with a bunch of middling cards. I don't remember exactly what they were. I decided to check it since it's a bad flop for my particular raising range and this player can get sticky. Turn card comes as another middling card. I check it. It gets checked back, and then the river card pairs the board. I just hope my ace high is good. It's not. Look down at 8-7 suited from the hijack. Open for a raise to 15. Only get called from the player on the button. Now this player has a tendency to want to take a pot away from you with any kind of weakness. So when the flop comes out 8, 6, 8, oh, perfect time to put in the old check. Give him a little chance to hang himself. I really don't think he has much, but he thinks it's worth $20. So I let him bet the 20, and I'm just going to put in the call. Now there's merits to check raising at this point, but I don't think he has anything. Hoping for a blank, but instead we get a overcard of a queen. Could be scary for him to bet, but I don't think he's going to call anything. River card comes as a complete blank. I decided to bet it, which I think is just a huge mistake. I think that he still doesn't have anything, and I should probably just check it over to him and let him, give him one more chance to hang himself. But instead, I put out a little bet of $60, hoping that maybe he has some sort of 6 or something. I don't know. I don't think he has even that. Anyway, he thinks for a moment and just decides to lay it down. I think it was a bad bet on my part. All right, we're under the gun +1. Look down at ace queen suited. Open for a raise to 15. It's folded around to the small blind who puts in the call, and so does the big blind. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop with $45 in the pot. And the flop comes out 6, 7, 8 with 2 spades. Not bad for our hand. We got a flush draw. The small blind, who is a very tight player, some would call him an OMC, leads out for $20 rather quickly. The player in the big blind puts in the quick call. And here, I think I only have a call at this point. I expect both those players to have a pretty good hand. 10 of clubs comes. They both check. I'm just going to check this back, trying to realize my equity. River card comes as a jack of diamonds. First player checks. Second player puts out a small bet, like he just dying to get called for $35. I have nothing. I muck it. The other player turned over that he had pocket queens. He tanks for a little bit before finally releasing his hand. The player in the big blind shows that he had 4-5 offsuit and flopped a straight. So there's a bunch of limpers, and I look down at king jack in the big blind. Decided to get my free flop and go that way. There's merit to putting in a big raise here and just trying to take down the dead money. At the time, I just decided to put in the call and see what I would get. Flop comes out, something raggedy. I think it came like ace 6-4 or something like that. Anyway, I have nothing. Player on the button puts in the bet, and I just let this one go. It's folded me in the hijack. I look down at ace 8 suited. Definitely worth a raise. I get one caller from the player in the small blind. So we're going to go heads up to this flop with $33 in the pot. Flop comes out 6, 7, 9 with 2 hearts. So we flop an open-ender, and we have an overcard. Player checks. I put out a small c-bet of $15, just hoping to take it down here. He decides to put in the quick call. Turn card comes now as a king of diamonds. Doesn't help me, but it looks pretty good for my range. I figure if I put a little pressure on this, it can be mine. So I bet $45. He thinks about it for a moment and then decides to let it go. So we take down this little pot with a little aggression. There's a $6 straddle on. Player opens for 25. I look down at 2 jacks. Make it 75. It gets folded back around to the player in the straddle, who shoves his remaining stack for 146. After he does, he kind of sits back in his chair and acts very relaxed. So I'm thinking he has a very big hand. Not quite sure what that might be. This is the first time I played with him. The next player kind of shrugs a little bit, shrugs his shoulder, and then he jams all in. I feel he's trying to isolate the all-in player with a hand like ace-king, possibly ace-queen. Don't think he has a bigger pair than me. So doing a little math, I think I'm getting the proper odds to put in a call. I think I'm ahead of the player with the $300 stack and probably behind the player with the 146 stack. But with 2 jacks here for that amount, and I already got 75 invested, I'm going to put in the call and hope for the best. After spending a little time trying to solidify my read, I decided to toss in the chip. And we're going to go 3 ways to this flop with some $760 in the pot. Flop comes out jack high with 2 hearts. Great flop, of course. We flop top set. We're loving it. Our opponent shows that he had ace queen. So right now we just got to dodge a king or running hearts. But you know, life isn't always easy, and neither is poker. Turn card comes as a 9 of hearts, giving our opponent a ton of outs. Hoping to dodge a heart, an 8, a king. I was thinking to myself, where's a black deuce when you really need one? River card comes, deuce of spades. How sweet it is. So we're going to take down this huge pot. The other player ended up having pocket kings, so my read on them was correct, that they had a very big hand. So I'm pleased with the call I made. I'm pleased with the reads I got. Take down this big pot, and we are off and running. There are 2 limpers, and the player raises to 12, and he ends up getting 3 callers. With a suited ace in the big blind, I'm going to call $9 more just to see if I can flop a flush. Maybe I'll get 2 pair, a set, who knows. Hopefully something that will get me involved in the hand. But for $9, I get a chance to win an $84 pot when there's 7-way action. Flop comes out Queen 8-5 rainbow. So we get nothing. We plan on just check folding this. It ends up getting bet by a player in middle position, the initial raiser. He ends up betting $100. So this is an easy fold. Everyone else ended up folding, so this player took this down with a $100 bet on the flop. All right, there is a $10 open from under the gun. I looked down at 2 black queens and raised to $40. It's folded around to the button, who puts in the cold call for the $40. Then it gets folded to the opener, and he actually folds his hand. So it's a little surprising, but we're going to go to the flop with $94 in the middle, heads up, out of position. So hoping for another favorable flop, but this one comes king high with 2 diamonds. I do not have a diamond in my hand. Otherwise, I would think about checking this. I decided to make a small bet, see if they would come along. I figured the only action I'll get would be someone with a king or someone with a diamond, and I get a fold. Some of you may have noticed the beautiful artwork that was in the background when I was doing my introduction. I just received these the other day, and I really like them, and so does my wife. And even my teenage son wants one in his room now. So I'm going to put a link in my description. So if you guys are interested, you can pick one up. Also, if you use my name as the discount code, just put Doug in there, and they'll give you a 10% off your purchase price. And I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, back to the action now. There were 4 limpers in this pot, and I'm in the big blind with ace queen suited. Of course, I'm going to try to punish the limpers with a very strong hand, such as ace queen, so I make it 30. End up getting 1 caller from the player in middle position. Thinking his range consists mostly of suited cards, suited connectors, or pairs. Flop comes out 5-4 deuce with 2 diamonds. So we flop a flush draw, we flop a gutter, and we have 2 overcards. I decided to leave for $25. Looking back on this, I think I can go bigger, and I probably should go a little bit bigger. My opponent puts in a very quick call. And when he does so, I'm thinking that his hands consist of medium to small pairs. Maybe he flopped a set, or a hand like a flush draw, or maybe something like 7-6. So my plan is to be a little bit cautious after that quick call, watching out for the straight draws. Turn card comes as a 10 of hearts, which is really a blank unless he has like a 10 high flush draw. I decided to check it just because I didn't want to get blown out of this pot. If he happened to flop a set and I bet into him, he might put in a very large raise, which I might not be able to call.
You're being too passive today. The old Doug I know would definitely be betting this hand. You have a ton of equity. You might even get someone to fold a better hand like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, because he'll fear you. You want to put the fear in people. So I would bet this. I wasn't worried about being raised until I got raised. Just be aggressive.
Anyway, when he checks it back, I'm thinking, okay, he had a straight draw or a flush draw and he missed at this point. I check it over to him, hoping that he bluffs. He puts out a bet and I snap call him with my ace high, and he shows 6-8. So he flopped a double gutter and bluffed the river. Here we have ace queen suited again. I opened for a raise to 15. I got 2 callers and the flop comes out like 10 high. And none of my suits, so when it's checked to me, I checked it, and it gets checked around. Turn card comes as another blank. It's checked to me. I check it again. There's no way I'm stabbing at this pot. There's no cards over, I think a jack came on the river or something. Anyway, a guy makes a strange bet, and I kind of thought I was getting a read on him, so I put in a call for $10 on the river. You know, he just milked me for $10. Bad call on my part. There is a $8 straddle and 6 callers, and I have Jack 7 suited in the big blind. I put in a very loose call with Jack 7 suited. looking to see a flop, and it comes Jack 9-6. So there's $56 in the pot, 7-way action, and I got a top pair with a horrible kicker. It gets checked over to a player who's been betting and stabbing quite a bit, and he bets out $12. And now they get one fold, but like 2 other players put in the call. And I do have top pair, and I have some backdoor straight and flush draws. So I decided for $12 I was going to take one off. And we'll see what comes on the turn. Anyway, we end up going 6 ways to this turn, which is quite amazing. And I'm looking for basically like a 5 of hearts would do it for me. But instead I get the Jack of clubs. And I'm going to proceed with caution, but looking back on this, I think a small bet at this point would probably be the strongest play.
You need to be more aggressive when the turn card comes as a jack. You can't let that get checked around. Most of the people are going to be there with drawing hands. I would use a bet fold line. You bet it for value. If you get big raise, then you can let it go.
It ends up getting checked all the way around, so I'm pretty sure I have the best hand at this point. And just looking for a blank on the river, and it comes an ace of diamonds. So here I decided to bet, and I went half pot. And looking back on this, I'm thinking that's probably way too big. No one has a ace with a strong kicker. There would have been a raise pre-flop. So if they're calling me with a weak ace, and probably $25, maybe $30 are probably the most I can get out of this particular hand. So sometimes I need a bet bigger, and other times I need a bet smaller. Anyway, I took down this little pot, and on to the next one. Here's another situation where I'm in the big blind with a suited ace. It's raised to 15. I end up putting in the call, looking to flop something good. Anyway, you know how this one turns out, because there's no graphics on this. Basically, the flop came out like all red cards, and I have all black cards, and I don't even have a pair or a straight draw. So I just check and end up folding this particular hand. But I think their suited aces are definitely worth playing, especially if you have some deep stacks at the table. And for a final boring hand, I looked down at ace queen after there were 3 or 4 limpers, and I put in a raise to 25. All the limpers ended up folding, so we took down this pot. The game started drying up, and I left. Hey, thanks for watching. We were in the game for 500, out for 1090. Ended up winning $590 in just a few hours, so that was a pretty good session. I wish every day would go as smoothly as this one did. I mean, whenever you can get jacks and outrun kings, that's a good day. The next vlog coming out will be the Hustler meetup game. It took me a little while to get it together, but I wanted to get this one out first. Anyway, I do appreciate your support. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do so. It does help out the channel. I know I said this 1,000 times, but you only have to listen to me once. Anyway, until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.